Anyway, guys, I have good news, okay? Good news and bad news. Okay, good news, my work meeting got pushed back a little bit later, so I have a couple more minutes to spare. There was something else that I've been wanting to share with you because there have been so many of us creating so many theories, so many speculations as to why do we believe that the assailant or assailants left the two other roommates, aka Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, unharmed. And I found an interesting thread online. So some of this is not mine, some of this will be. I'm just reading off a little bit here. And of course, there are different reasons, but I think most of y'all already know how I feel about the roommates, which is why I get so much hate, because apparently we can't question people that were at the crime scene when the crime was taking place because they're cute blonde females. Bro, if those two yahoos were guys, they would have probably been incarcerated and questioned very heavily by law enforcement. So don't get me started, right? Now, this is what other people, some of the things that they've put together, a list of ideas on why they believe that Bethany and Dylan were unharmed, right? And people are saying, well, it could be because maybe the assailant was injured, or maybe the assailant had satisfied his urge to unalive, like he was just on this frenzy, and just needed to get his fix, and once that fix was satisfied, then there was no need to hurt other people. Or the assailant did not know that there were other people downstairs, and the assailant maybe did not know that there was a downstairs level due to being unfamiliar with the home. Doors could have been locked to the rooms of unharmed roommates. Or maybe, just maybe, the assailant happened to feel the need to leave the scene before somebody heard or suspected anything, right? And others have said, well, it could be possible that the assailant was just exhausted, unaliving 4 people in the span of maybe 19 minutes. And I'm going to go with the 19-minute theory. You know why? Because I'm going to get to the 4chan aspect of this in another video. But it's very interesting that, again, the crime time kept being pushed forward by law enforcement. Originally, they thought the crime took place at 2. When they found out Brian Koberger had not left WSU until 2:47, they're like, oh, never mind. Maybe the crime took place at 3 to 4. And then when they found out that Brian Koberger could not have been anywhere near Moscow, they're like, oh, maybe the crime took place from 4 to 4:25. Funny enough, that matches that 4chan, the early 4chan theory of the 19 minutes. And some people have said, well, if you're unaliving 4 people, whether it's 1 or 2 assailants, in the span of 19 minutes, you're probably going to be exhausted, or if you're going in there with a very specific objective to take out very specific people and your objective is complete, there's no need to harm the other 2, right? Why cause lifelong damage to the roommates if you don't need to delete them off of the planet? Sometimes this can also be done. This has been done in other crime scenes where they will leave some people alive, some people not, to create confusion. But this definitely fuels the illegal pharmaceutical theory, because from all the cases that I have looked at when there are illegal pharmaceuticals involved, let me tell you something. These Brotherhood gangs, for example, the Aryans, right? If they could have maybe been involved in this, they go in there with one very specific motive, and they go in, complete their mission, complete their objective, and they are out of there quickly, right? But also, if this was somebody who was not involved in the world of pharmaceuticals, if this was just like random assailant, maybe a frat boy or frat boys, and if they're not thinking rationally at the time, then that wouldn't really leave a logical explanation as to why two of the roommates were left unarmed. Now, of course, y'all know me, I love to trigger people, so yeah, I'm gonna talk about it. All of these theories, all of these possible scenarios as to why the two were left unharmed. Okay, they're plausible, they are plausible. Thanks for the ideas, Reddit, right? And of course, the two remaining roommates lived in the same area, so maybe he just didn't get to part of the house, you know, but it's 2.5 years later. Like, we can't possibly be as naive as to not ask questions when we have heard damn well that Miss or Mr. I don't know, Dylan Morrison, okay, was allegedly 3 feet away from the assailant, from the masked intruder. 3 feet away. You see my twigs, babe? You see these twigs? That's about like 2.5 feet, all right? I've lost weight. I cut my calories from 3,500 to 2,800, so I'm getting skinny. Add a few more inches to this twig. That's 3 feet. We're supposed to believe that 3 feet away from Dylan was an assailant with a mask, 6 foot tall, looking very scary, carrying something that was vacuum-esque shaped. Okay, that's the problem with time. Time is not on their side. And as I've said since the early days, guys, the truth always comes out. It always comes out. Some of you are like, that's not true. That's not true, Nika. Yes, it is. And yes, sometimes the truth comes out too late. Sometimes it's too late, you know. Sometimes it's like, this is a DP case. We don't want the truth to come out post DP. But it's been 2.5 years and they have contradicted themselves time and time again, because law enforcement told us something else in the beginning. They were asleep. The girls were asleep. They're so innocent. They're blonde, cute little girls. They couldn't have done this. They're just traumatized. They're getting help from the spirit world. The spirit world? Do you mean like vodka or like ghosts? And time is not on their side. Time is ticking, motherfucker. Time is ticking. When we have a 911 call that is being released and people are on that damn phone call talking to dispatch, somebody's passed out. No mention of red fluid whatsoever. And what did Dylan allegedly say? She allegedly said she saw Xana. I just thought she was passed out. No mention of red fluid. No mention of red fluid. Bitch, please. Bitch, please. We've all seen the pictures of the house. We've all seen the pictures of the house from the outside, by the windowsill, overflowing with red fluid. And we're supposed to believe that nobody in that house mentioned anything on that 911 call. We're supposed to believe that Dylan ran into Xana before 911 arrived and that she thought Xana was just passed out. I'm sorry, but we have heard the description of the crime scene time and time again. We've heard the description by law enforcement, by Chief Fry, by the state. We have heard the description by news channels. We have seen images. We have heard the description by the coroner. and you're just gonna call 911. I think she's passed out. I think I saw her, but I think she's just passed out. Is that not weird to you? Is that not weird to you? And look, this list that I just read off of you guys, off of Reddit, you know, of possible scenarios on why the assailant left the two alive, you know, because he was injured and he had satisfied his urge. And he wanted to create confusion, and he didn't know that there were two other people downstairs. You think if you're going in there to unalive people all over the house, first of all, as quickly as this crime was committed, they knew the house. They knew the house. This was a creaky old house. Everyone and their mama has said this was a creaky old house. You could heard what was going on in the third floor, even when you were on the first floor. Creaky house. Okay? I'm not buying that he just left because he didn't know that there was another room down there, because he was unfamiliar with the space. This person was familiar with the space, in my opinion. Of course, these are my opinions. What do I know? I'm just a little crime sleuth, babe. I'm just a little girl, right? If the two remaining roommates, if we're not gonna hold them accountable because they're just girls, okay, well then don't hold me accountable either, babe. I'm just a girl. I'm just pulling my britches up. I'm just a girl. I know nothing. Okay, that list made sense 2.5 years ago, babe. Maybe. And even then I had my doubts. But, bitch, it's 2025, okay? If you're not asking any questions, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You're literally 3 feet away, an arm's length away, a twig away from him, and he didn't see you. Oh, come on. Do you think I was born yesterday? I know I look like I'm in my 20s, but I look a lot, I'm a lot older, babe. I was not born yesterday, and neither were any of you watching this. So I think all of you know what's up. Now, it is possible that the assailant did leave the two unarmed because maybe his objective was complete. That I do agree with. If you're going in there to delete people off of the planet and you have a list, check. But if we are to entertain the frat boy theory, the frat boy theory that maybe they were on roids, that maybe they were on illegal pharmaceuticals, you're not thinking straight, right? Maybe a little cuckoo. What did you put up there? What did you put up your schnoz? What were you using? But it still makes you wonder. Because in my opinion, even if you're not thinking rationally, you're like out your damn mind. You're out there just unaliving people left and right. Why would you stop when you just saw Dylan pass right by you? I don't know, man. Now, you guys are asking me, well, why do I believe? Why do you believe, Nika, that the assailant left the two unarmed? Well, maybe, just maybe, the assailants never left the house. Is that too far-fetched? But Nika, two beautiful young blondes, they could never take 4 people out. They're so petite. They're so small. How could they? And that one always cracks me up because when they see Koberger, they're like, he's a little skinny. What's the excuse that the guilters use for trying to pin the crime on him? Well, yeah, he's skinny and he's small and he may not have physical fitness, but I mean, the 4 students had been drinking, so they're easy to take out. So why would you put it past 2 adult females to take 4 people out? And again, it's been 2.5 years later, and we were lied to. They were sleeping. They're innocent. They had no idea what was going on. And come to find out, what were they doing? They were on Yik Yak. They were on TikTok. They were on Indeed. They were on Instagram. And magically, they stopped being on their phones, allegedly, when the crime was being committed, right? What's Emma Bailey's role? Go watch my Emma Bailey videos. Some people have said that they don't think that anyone was intentionally left alive, but I think there were people intentionally left alive, right? If you see Dylan, not once, not twice, but 3 times, allegedly Dylan saw him multiple times. And Dylan was out her damn mind, according to law enforcement. She started her day with mimosas, followed by hard liquor, followed by God knows what. And we're supposed to believe that the assailant or assailants didn't see her? If Dylan saw the intruder saw her. Or, I know this might be a little crazy to some of you, or is it possible that Dylan just happened to see a reflection of herself? Is that who she was referring to? Could she be the assailant? Could she have been out of her damn mind? And maybe did something stupid. Is that why she called Daddy? Is that why she called Daddy? What did Daddy say to Dylan? Because if I were Dylan's super alpha dad, don't hurt my daughter, flexing, don't hurt my daughter, flexing on social media, and my baby girl calls me at wee early hours of the morning and tells me she just saw a masked intruder, what do you think a normal father would say? Or a normal mother? Put your phone away. Why are you calling me? Call 911. Or let's both call 911. Hang up. We're both calling 911. Right? You would kind of lose your damn mind a little bit. Is the rational thing most parents would do. You wouldn't be on the phone with your daughter not calling 911 or driving over there. Right? But here we're supposed to believe Dylan saw a masked man 3 times. Call her daddy. Daddy didn't say anything? Really? That alpha, super, mega flexy dad didn't say anything to you? He didn't call 911? He didn't want to get involved? And you just hung up and went on Yik Yak and TikTok and Instagram and Indeed, of all places, Indeed. A lot of you guys, I see some of you guys in the chat. You know do you know how strong the smell is of people who have passed away? When people pass away, rigor mortis kicks in. That means the body starts to get, this is your trigger warning. Go away if you don't want to talk about bodies. There's science. Okay, it starts getting stiff. When people pass away, they tend to urinate or defecate. That means they go number 1 or number 2. Not to mention the smell of iron, the smell of red fluid. This house was apparently covered in red fluid. You didn't smell any of that? No? Smelled like roses? Oh, is that why maybe one of the survivors opened the door? Because I remember reading this in the early days in 4chan, that the front door, according to one of the neighbors, saw that the front door was open around 8 a.m. Did you have to air the place out? Is that why? You had to air the place out because it was so foul? The two roommates like to call themselves friends. Friends of the victims. Side eye. The neighbor said the front door was open and Emma was smoking a joint, but thought nothing of it because that's what they always did, apparently. I don't know. Even if an assailant has a specific target in mind and you're allegedly entering through the sliding door and you're beginning the rampage, focused, looking for your target. And even if you didn't know that there were bedrooms in the basement, if you didn't need, to check there, maybe you know that you have a target on the 3rd floor, and maybe you have to unalive some people on the 2nd floor to get up there if they might pose a threat, especially if there's a male in the house. You don't feel the need to check a basement. But when you've ran into Dylan multiple times, you can't take that risk as an assailant. You cannot take that risk. Does that make sense? We have to put ourselves in the shoes of the assailant or the assailants. An arm's length away. Would you take the risk? I think most assailants would not. Right? And AKW, I agree. It's too messy for pro. I agree. And I said this since the early days as well. It was one of my theories. I said that when I went through the very early days, the very early day 4chan theories, that it was very likely somebody very young, statistically speaking, when we look at very messy, very gory, very morbid crimes, it's often because the assailants are young, inexperienced. And I want to share this message with you guys. This was somebody posted on Reddit, and I thought it was very interesting because this is allegedly coming from somebody who went to U of I. As somebody who went to U of I and partied at that house when I went there, I guarantee their doors were locked. That house was always a notorious party house. Anyone who has lived in a college party house will tell you that all the bedroom doors would have locks on them in some way. And whenever you went to bed, you would lock the door so no one would barge into your room while you were sleeping. They most likely had parties at the house every weekend. Plus, it was the game day, so everyone most likely had been day drinking most of the day. If they went to bed before all of the roommates got home, I'd put money on it that they locked their doors because they didn't know whether or not the other roommates would bring drunk friends home from the bars. They were honestly more likely to lock their bedroom doors than the front door if the rest of the roommates were not home yet. I know some people cannot imagine that kind of thinking, but living in and experiencing that kind of environment was the norm. So I'll just leave you with that. Let me know what you think, because I've always agreed with this as well. I have lived in frat row, have attended universities across the country. You lock your doors. They were young, they don't lock their doors. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You lock your doors even if you've been drinking, especially if it's on a game night, party night, because again, if you're bringing somebody back, maybe some guys, maybe some girls, maybe you're locking your door. So I agree with this poster here. It's all very weird. It's all very strange. It doesn't sit well with me. And until we know more about Dylan and Bethany, well, that's all I'm gonna say. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Why do you believe that the assailant let Bethany and Dylan live? Let me know in the comments. Leave a like. Thank you, by the way, for all the super chats. I'm so spoiled. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna buy lots of coffee this weekend, so have a wonderful evening.